So we want to get that sense that we're connecting from the sit bones and we're tuning in really to the length of the spine. So we spend so much time in our naturally seated position, rolling the shoulders forward, bringing the weight of the rib cage onto the belly, and it creates that kind of slack posture, if you like, through the wide muscles of the back. So close your eyes for a moment and visualize the spine lengthening. Feel your head floating above the spine. So you're kind of getting away from that sense of the weight of the head pulling you forward. Lining up the back of the head with the tailbone. And although we're lengthening the spine and lifting the weight of the head, we're naturally allowing the weight of the shoulders to release away from the ears and resting the backs of the hands on the insides of the thighs, turning the palms up towards the ceiling. Either soften your gaze or close the eyes. And we'll just bring the index finger in towards the thumb, resting the pad of the thumb over the nail of the index finger, holding this Yana Mudra to amplify this opening energy. Bring your awareness to the breath. And just for a few moments, tune into the natural rhythm of your breath. Tune into the stillness. You may have broken into your day to fit this session in. So make yourself a promise now to push your to-do list to one side, knowing that you can return to it later. And any time you feel the attention wander, bring your full awareness back to the breath. That cool air on the breath in, the warm air on the breath out. Be aware of slowing the breath down, deepening the inhalation, lengthening the exhalation. A sense that every exhalation is a letting go. Every out-breath, releasing your body of tension, of any negative energy. Every in-breath, charging your body, energizing, preparing us for the work of our practice today. Following the breath along the nasal passages, through the back of the throat, feeling that expansion through the lungs and the rib cage. Remembering that we can direct the breath to any part of the body that may be asking for a little extra attention. Honor any parts of the body that may require a little extra healing at this time. Inhaling deeply to nourish and energize. Exhaling fully to cleanse and relax. Take a moment to notice anywhere the breath feels a little resistant. Sometimes we don't even realize we're holding tension, perhaps in the shoulders, in the back of the neck. This may feel like a constriction in the breath. Deepen the inhalation. Lengthen the exhalation. Drawing your awareness to that central line of energy that runs from the top of the head all the way down to the space beneath the soles of the feet. Inhaling deeply to the belly, the chest, and the collarbones. Exhaling fully from the collarbones, the chest, and the belly last. Widening and expanding on the inhale. softening, releasing, engaging the core on the exhale. Take a further deep breath in through the nose. Then release that breath through the mouth. A deep breath in through the nose. A further noisier breath out through the mouth. This next deep breath in through the nose. Release now with an audible sigh. Remind yourself to realign the spine as you nudge the breath back towards a natural, easy rhythm. Separating the index finger from the thumb now and bringing the palms together in front of the heart. Rubbing the palms briskly together, warming the palms of the hands, feeling that energy radiate from the fingertips all the way through the length of the arms back to the heart center. Then bring the hands over the eyes, open the palms, resting the fingertips into the hairline. Taking a moment here to gently blink the eyes open behind the palms, allowing a little light through, then slowly tracing the line of the face, drawing the fingertips along the length of the jaw, under the chin, then returning the hands back to an Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Shoulder blades released and soft. Exhaling to engage the core. Inhaling to lift the arms overhead, pressing through the fingertips, drawing the shoulders down again away from the ears. Keeping the weight equal through both sit bones. On the next exhale, gently open the side of the body to lean and extend towards the right side. Inhaling to return to center. Then exhaling to ease to the left side. Opening into the right of the waist and the rib cage. Inhaling to return to center. Then on an out breath, draw the tummy button in and bring the hands back again towards the heart. Now separate the hands. I'm just going to adjust my position. Bringing the left hand onto the right knee, placing the right hand behind the hip, letting the knees release, inhaling to lift out of the sit bones, then drawing the rib cage towards the back of the room. Take care not to pull that right knee towards you. If anything, a little pressure on the palm, just to keep the knees wide. Press down into the palms of the hands on an in-breath. On an out-breath, lift the arms up overhead. We're drawing the shoulders down away from the ears, staying in a Y formation. So we get that sense that, again, we're lengthening through the fingertips, opening through the heart space. Then on an out-breath, bringing opposite hand to opposite knee. An in-breath to re-lengthen. Using the exhale to gently turn into that twist. Focusing on drawing the shoulder blades together, lifting the sternum. Then on the next exhalation, releasing that tension, drawing the gaze back towards the front of the room. I'll just move a little further back. So bring the hands in front of the ankles. Inhale to lengthen out of the sit bones. As you exhale, gently walk the hands forward. Positioning the palms a little ways forward of the shoulders, keeping the shoulder blades drawn together. Then on the out breath, gently easing the elbows towards the floor. If you get the sense that the shoulders are being lifted and drawn forward, then simply draw the hands a little closer and focus more on that bend at the elbows to ease a little more deeply into this space. As you exhale, engage the core. As you inhale, turn your gaze once more to the end of the fingertips and walk back again towards the ankles. Keep that core engagement, that length through the spine, the top of the head opening towards the ceiling. Then reposition the hands behind the hips. Draw the shoulder blades together. We're intending here to open the sternum towards the ceiling. So take care not to drop the head back. It's okay to turn the gaze up, but try not to let the neck release the weight of the head. Draw the shoulder blades together, open through the heart space. Then as you exhale, engage the core and guide your gaze forward once more. Let's switch that leg cross over. So opposite foot in front, behind, bringing the hands in front of the shoulders, drawing the palms together, creating an interlock here with right forefinger over left, then opening the palms in towards the heart. Check in again with the knees, allow the knees to soften, the inner thighs to release. As you exhale, draw the tummy button in and we'll gently roll through the spine, nodding the chin towards the chest. Think of every breath, breathing space between each individual vertebra. Feel the wide muscles of the back soften, widen. Then as you exhale, draw the tummy button in. Keep those shoulders released from the ears as you lead with the sternum to lift back to center. Turn the hands inside out and inhale to float the arms up overhead. Pressing through the palms of the hands, softening the shoulders down away from the ears. Again, keeping equally weighted through the sit bones, opening to the right side, releasing through the left of the waist and the rib cage. Inhaling back to center, then exhaling to the opposite side. And if you feel that you're easing onto that left sit bone, keep the weight centered as you inhale and return back to that center line of energy. On an out breath, engage the core, float the hands back to heart space. Separate the hands and bring the hands behind the hips once more. So we want to repeat that opening of the sternum up towards the ceiling, but we're also going to encourage an opening through the thighs, through the hips. So press the shins forward, lift the sternum, lift the bottom from the floor. If there's any tension in the ankles, you might want to just have a word with yourself. Then as you exhale, release and bring the sit bones back towards the floor. Lift and lengthen. Then separate the feet to draw the soles of the feet together. So whether it's comfortable for you to rest the hands on the ankles or the toes, what we want to avoid is any sense of holding the feet. That white knuckle ride isn't necessary. So nice and soft, lifting and lengthening. So again, we're lifting the weight of the rib cage off the belly. Then exhaling to lead with the sternum rather than the chin. Extending the chest forward, keeping that diagonal line from the back of the head to the tailbone. Every out breath, easing a little more deeply into this space. Widening the knees, drawing the shoulder blades together. Then as you exhale, draw the tummy button in. As you inhale, keep your focus in front of the toes and lift the sternum so that you're back to center, the gaze down. Now simply extend the left leg. Bring the right foot to rest on the inside of the left thigh. So we're gently going to open out into the inside of each thigh, recognizing that the body isn't equal. So we may feel more resistance on one side than the other. We'll start with the hands easily placed in front of the ankle. Then again, we'll realign, lifting out of the sit bones, turning this left toe up towards the ceiling. Then on an out breath, easing forward. So again, we want to avoid curve in the spine. So it might be worthwhile reminding yourself to draw shoulder blades together, to lead with the sternum, to ease the elbows towards the floor, rather than keep reaching the hands forward, which tends to lift the shoulders. As you exhale, engage the core. Walk the hands back towards that ankle. Then we'll switch over. We'll extend the right leg, bring the left foot in, lift and lengthen once more. Then we'll prepare again to just take that little walk forward. And you might want to notice any differences on this side. Generally, we have one side which is a little more willing to play. We often find that one side is a little more resistant. Shoulder blades drawn together, easing a little more deeply into this space. Then exhaling to engage the core, walking the hands back again towards the ankle, taking both legs wide. Positioning both hands in front of the body. You want to make sure that you're not rolled back onto the tailbone in this position. It makes the action of hinging forward more difficult. So lift onto the sit bones again, lift the rib cage up from the belly, soften the shoulders away from the ears, then gently walk the hands forward. On and out breath, ease the elbows towards the floor. Every exhale, a gentle release. Feeling supported through the hips, through the shoulders. Taking the hands from the floor now and either positioning the hands in front of the shins or if it's comfortable towards the soles of the feet. And again, it's not a sense of drawing the feet towards you. We're not gripping hold. We're simply just resting the hands as we ease the chest a little more deeply into this fold. Lovely. Allow any release you need behind the knees. Then as you exhale, engage the core. Let's bring the hands under the chest to support the lower back. So we'll push into the hands as we lift and lengthen back towards center. Sliding the feet together now. I'm going to turn side on because I prefer Dandasana when I can show you side on. And again, we've done all that lovely work of lifting and lengthening the upper body. So let's not allow ourselves to slump again. Feel that straight line from the back of the head to the tailbone. Feel that straight line through the back of the thighs. A little natural lift under the knees is fine. Toes pointing up towards the ceiling and extending both arms forward. Shoulder blades drawn together. Drawing the tummy button in. Inhaling to lift both arms overhead. Pressing through the fingers. Becoming aware again of that sense of space. Releasing the weight through the sit bones into the earth beneath you. That expansion through the chest. That widening through the wide muscles of the back. That core engagement supporting the spine. You might start to feel a few jelly beans in the thighs. It's all good, means we're doing the right thing. Then on and out breath, widen the arms. Turn the palms firstly up towards the ceiling, stretching the fingers as far away as you can from the shoulders. So we're really opening through this space across the collarbones. Then turn the palms towards the front of the room, bringing the fingers in towards the palm, thumbs up. If we can trace a straight line from the shoulder to the base of the thumb, this gives us ego eradicator pose. Shoulder blades drawn together. Heat building in the thighs now. Engaging the core. Then bringing the hands back to heart center. On an out breath, bring the hands behind the hips. We'll use the palms fully connected to the floor, shoulder blades drawn together. Then walk the feet in. Pushing down into the soles of the feet, lifting the bottom from the floor. So giving us a nice gentle stretch through the front of the thighs. Visualizing every inhalation, we compress the shins forward to effectively stretch out the thighs and lift the hips a little higher. Shoulder blades drawn together. Then as you exhale, release the bottom towards the floor. We'll take the hands from under the shoulders as we lower onto the back, hugging the knees towards the chest. Then widening the arms in a T formation, palms turned up towards the ceiling, rolling the knees to the right side, turning the gaze along the left arm. So the tension of holding that ego eradicator pose, we can now release allowing that additional space to the left of the waist and the rib cage. Feeling the weight of the left shoulder ease towards the mat. On the next exhalation, engage the core, roll the knees back to center. Then take the knees over to the left side, turning your gaze along the length of the right arm. Wide through the chest, engaged, soft in the lower back. Then exhale again to draw the tummy button in. And let's roll ourselves back towards center. Hug the knees once more in towards the chest. And this time we're just going to gently rock from one side to the other, allowing a little release through the sacrum into that space in the lower back. Then we'll bring the knees directly above the hips, toes pointing up towards the ceiling, lifting the arms above the shoulders, softening the shoulders back to the floor. Exhaling to draw the tummy button in, inhaling to widen through the collarbones. Exhaling again to draw the tummy button in, just gently filling that little lift in the lower back. Now we'll simply float the hands down either side of the hips. So the collarbones remain open, the backs of the hands resting on the floor, but we're keeping that core engagement. The weight of the hands either side of the hips helps to keep that nice solid base through the lower back. Then as you exhale, extend the right heel forward. Hover that heel an inch from the floor. Inhale to point the toe. Exhale to flex. Then use the big toe to draw little circles in towards the midline of the body. Changing direction to take those circles the opposite way. Point through the toe. Come back to flexion. Engage the core, then slide that right knee back in to that 90-degree angle. Let's just give ourselves a little break for the lower back. So hug the knees to the chest. Then we'll come back to that 90-degree angle. So we're going to extend the left leg forward. If you're finding that sense of keeping the lower back anchored to the floor is really challenging, if that's giving you too much pain or distraction, you might want to just try placing the hands on the back of the right thigh and drawing the knee a little closer to the chest. So it just gives you a little way of kind of balancing, if you like. It's safer for the lower back. Let's point through that left toe. Bring that left toe to flexion. Use that big toe to draw 3 circles in towards the midline of the body. Then we'll take the circles the other way again. Then again, we're floating that heel an inch from the floor. Then on an out breath, hug both knees back towards the chest, drawing a little figure of 8 here. Gently rocking from one hip to the other. We can be a little bit more vigorous on our rocking and rolling here. Taking that stretch a little deeper. Then replacing both feet on the mat. Let's bring the hands again either side of the hips. And we're going to lift the right leg up and over, parking the ankle on the outside of the left thigh. So the first thing we want to do is just adjust the angle of the inner thigh of the knee. So roll the knee in towards the chest. So you can feel that you're already starting a gentle stretch to the outside of the buttock, to the outside of the hip. As you exhale, engage the core, then squeeze that left knee in towards the chest. So you should now be feeling a slightly deeper stretch to the outside of the buttock. There might be a little bit of action into the hamstring if you're tight there. You may find if you get tightness between the hip and the knee that you're able to get a little release in the IT band. So every out breath, nudging the knee a little closer to the chest. Then using that left leg to drive the heel up towards the ceiling. Inhaling to point, exhaling to flex, pushing through the heel. Then on an out breath, bend that left knee again, nudge the knee in towards the chest, then replace that left foot to the floor. Let's bring the right leg up and over, and we'll restack on the other side. So remember, the first action is simply to roll the knee in, engage through the core, soften the weight at the back of the shoulders, then draw that knee in towards the chest. So you're using the strength in the right leg to gently press that left thigh deeper into the chest, into the belly. Then again, we'll lengthen through the right leg, encouraging a stretch to the back of the hamstring as you keep the foot in flexion. Inhaling to point releases that tension. Exhaling to flex. Inhaling to point. Returning again to a bent knee as you push that thigh a little closer again. Then replacing the foot to the floor. As you take that left foot off, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. We're going to repeat the Baddha Konasana, this time in a supine position. So we're allowing the knees to roll out. Let gravity take you to your natural expression in this posture. Then I want you to bring the arms overhead, resting the backs of the hands on the floor. So this might feel a little challenging through the chest, through the shoulders. So visualize working with the breath here to expand into the collarbones, to soften the weight of the shoulder blades to the floor. Then we'll keep that opening through the heart as we position the hands one on top of the other behind the head. So we're supporting the back of the head, elbows wide. On an exhale, engaging the core and gently squeezing the upper body to the right side, opening out through the left of the waist. Inhaling to come back to center, then exhaling to squeeze to the opposite side. Return again to center. Reposition the head to the floor. Bring the hands again either side of the hips. We want that sense of pressing through the fingertips, drawing the shoulders as far away from the ears as we can. Shoulder blades drawn together. Exhaling again to draw the tummy button in, then sliding the feet towards the knees towards one another. Heels hip width apart, little gap between the thighs, insides of the feet parallel. Inhale now to lift the arms overhead, resting the backs of the hands on the floor, pushing down into the soles of the feet and lifting the bottom from the mat. So coming into a supported bridge pose, but again, we're working in that space of opening through the heart. On the next exhale, find the space between the shoulder blades and gently roll down vertebra by vertebra as you bring the arms up and over, resting the hands either side of the hips. So on the inhale, we lift up, we bring the arms over. On the exhale, we take our time to lower the spine to the floor as we bring the arms back either side of the hips. Inhale, lifting up. Exhaling, rolling through the spine, bringing the hands back either side of the hips. On an out breath, draw the knees towards the chest. Drawing a little figure of 8 here. Once more, finding that space to the back of the sacrum into the lower back. Then as we return to center, reposition the hands either side of the hips. Let's take the legs up towards the ceiling. So for most of us, if we're tight in the hamstrings, it will benefit us to lower the heels about 1/3 of the way, pressing through the heels and just allowing a little hip width distance between the feet. So rather than resting the ankles or the feet together, we're just going to come a little bit further apart a little bit lower, just to avoid that excessive bend in the knee. Every out breath, draw the tummy button in. Then we're going to take the right leg and open it out to the right side. The left leg remains perpendicular. So when you take the weight of the leg away from the center of the body, naturally we feel as though we're rolling to that right side. So try to keep the hips square. Be very aware of that equal weight through the back of the sacrum. Then on an out breath, engage the core. We'll walk that right leg into center to a count of 3, 2, and 1. Now take the left leg out. Do the same on the other side. So let gravity take it to the extent which you're comfortable. Reset through the hips if required. Rather than holding the breath, hold the posture. Then as you exhale, again, that core engagement to just guide the foot back to center. 3, 2, and 1. Let's give ourselves a little rest, hugging the knees towards the chest. Then we'll go back for a little bit more. So push through the heels again, bringing the feet to flexion, lowering the heels down that little third of a way. It kind of makes you feel more rested on the flat bone above the bottom, rather than feeling as though you're kind of on that fulcrum of the lower back. Take both feet wide. Hands again remain either side of the hips. And again, we're just observing gravity, widening the inner thighs, exhaling to draw the tummy button in. And for now, we're going to keep the left leg wide as we walk the right leg back to center. 3, 2, and 1. Take it wide. 3, 2, and 1. Same with the left leg. 3, 2, and 1. Take it wide. 3, 2, and 1. Now let's bring both feet together to center. 3, 2, and 1. Take it wide. 3, 2, and 1. Once more to center. 3, 2, and 1. Then hug the knees to the chest. Well done. That's a tricky little sequence. Gently rocking again from one hip to the other. Replacing the feet on the mat. Once more, bringing the hands either side of the hips, and we'll just release the front of the hip flexors by returning once more to that supported bridge pose. So lifting the bottom from the floor, inhaling to press the shins forward, lift the thighs higher, release any lactic acid buildup in those hip flexors, soften the weight of the shoulders towards the mat. Let's bring the hands to an interlock behind the lower back. So that reminds us to draw the shoulder blades together, wide through the chest, lifting the belly, the thighs towards the ceiling. Then as you exhale, separate the hands and once more gently roll down through the spine. Take your time here. Enjoy that release. Bringing the lower back to fully settle and let go. Draw the thighs in towards the chest. Place the hands behind the thighs. Engage the core. Roll yourself up into a seated position. Then roll yourself back. We'll simply take 2 or 3 rock and rolls backwards and forwards just to warm the spine. And then head back up into a seated position. Good work. Excellent. So I'm going to suggest that we come into an all fours position now. I just want to make sure that we don't overdo all that work in the core and we forget that sometimes the muscles of the lower back wade in to help and they're not always strong enough to do so. So let's position the knees hip width apart. As you take your wrists and the palms to the floor, make sure that you've got a really confident connection here. So no gaps under the fingers, no curling of the fingers up. Spread the fingers, soften the elbows, turn the toes under. Exhale to draw the tummy button in, roll up through the spine. So you might not have realized there was tension in the lower back. So we'll hold into this lovely long cat stretch. Then while we're still in the curved up position, we'll simply push the hips over to the right, back to center, take them to the left, back to center. Exaggerate that curve again for the cat stretch. Then rest on the tops of the feet, reverse the curve. So drawing the sternum forward, lifting the chest, coming into that cow pose. Exhaling to roll up again into the cat stretch, nodding the chin to the chest, taking that full length through the spine. Bring the feet back to a neutral position, so resting on the tops of the feet. Walk both hands forward, push into the palms and press the sit bones back towards the heels. You want that sense of pressing the palms, feeling stuck to the floor as you push the sit bones as far away from the ears as you can. Lengthening the spine, lifting the fingertips now from the mat, pressing the wrists to the floor. Replacing the palms to the mat. Lowering down onto the elbows, drawing the chest forward, sliding the thighs back, lifting into a Sphinx pose. So the shoulders, the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, soften the bottom. As you exhale, turn to look over one shoulder. As you inhale, look ahead. As you exhale, look over the other shoulder. Then inhale again to look ahead. Lower down now, bringing the chest, the forehead to the floor. We'll keep the left forearm for support on the side as we draw the right heel in, taking hold of that ankle, just gently toggling the heel towards the bottom, keeping, if we can, the shoulders and the hips square. Then almost like a half tilt of the hips as you press the thigh into the mat, push into that left forearm. So we're gently peeling the chest from the floor, deepening the stretch through the front of the thigh and into the hip flexor. Release now, bring that foot to the floor, bring the right arm forward, pull the left heel in. So hand again to the front of the ankle. Make sure that you're not pulling the foot out to the left side. Keep the heel lined up with the tailbone and just use that little toggling motion to draw the heel closer to the bottom, pushing the thigh to the floor, inhaling to lift the chest, then release that foot back to the mat. Reposition the hands either side of the chest, draw the elbows in. So it kind of feels as though you're almost holding the side of the rib cage. Push into the palms, inhale to lift the chest. If this is too much for the lower back, then go back to the Sphinx pose with the little elbows bent. On the out breath, draw the tummy button in. Let's go all the way back into a nice long child's pose. Again, extending the fingertips away from the ears. Lifting back up into an all fours position. You might find that your knees have come together because of the child's pose. So let's reposition them hip width apart. Wrists again under shoulders, elbows soft. Take the right leg back, turn the toe under and push through the heel to deepen the stretch to the back of the calf. Bring that knee back to center. Then take the opposite foot back, repeat that stretch, this time on the left leg. As you draw that knee in, make sure we're back to that hip width distance. Turn both toes under. We want to keep the knees bent here, so try not to think about downward facing dog. This is very much almost like an upside down squat. So we're pushing the sit bones back, lifting the knees, pushing the heels to the floor. If you feel too spread out, if the hands feel too far forward, walk the feet in rather than disturbing the shoulder girdle. Push the sit bones towards the back of the room, lift the tailbone. So we're gently lengthening the spine. And we're getting in a little bit more deeply to that space at the back of the ankle into the calves. Then releasing, coming down onto the shins, sitting back onto the bottom, coming into child's pose. Let's just rest the hands either side of the ankles, rotating the wrists to release any tension. Lift yourself back up. We'll resume that all fours position. This time we're going to travel up into what feels like a more traditional downward facing dog. So I recognize that we might still feel a little tight on the back of the hamstrings. So if we need to, we'll just work one leg at a time. So push the sit bones back, lift up into the down dog. I can't quite get the heels to the floor. So my first focus will be to push the weight of the sit bones to the back of the room. So it kind of feels as though you're pushing away from the wrists, lining up the ears between the upper arms. Then to get that extra length through the back of the thigh into the back of the calf, bend the right knee, push the left heel to the floor. Then gently walk from one foot to the other. When we get the weight distribution correct in downward facing dog, there's no reason that we can't stay upside down for 10 full breaths. It tends to be when the weight's too far forward, it puts tension on the wrists. Let's breathe both heels towards the mat. Inhale to lift the tailbone. Then on an out breath, bend the knees, sit back on the heels, and let's honor any tension in the wrists by gently rotating, easing off the tension. So we're going to come back up into a downward facing dog. I'm not going to do it with you because I can't watch you if I'm upside down. We're going to come into a three-legged dog. So make sure that your structure feels very supportive for you. So wrists again under shoulders, knees again under hips. The reason that I remind you to keep the hands a little closer to the body in this way is that as soon as we push the weight to the back of the room, we start to overextend into the elbows and it just doesn't feel pleasant on the joint. So it's to stop you overweighting in the shoulders or putting too much stretch in the elbows. So turn the toes under, push up into your downward facing dog. Lift the tailbone, open the backs of the thighs, and visualize yourself in that inverted V position. Lovely. Now let's press the left heel to the floor. We want to feel that connection. Lift the right leg and push that heel up towards the ceiling. Imagine that you're creating a diagonal line from the back of the heel to the back of the shoulder. So it will help if you can bring the hips back into balance with the shoulders. Try not to open that right hip. Gloria, your right hip's just a little bit open. Just toggle it towards the floor. Perfect. Perfect. Then lower that right foot. Lift the tailbone again to realign the spine. Let's take the left leg up. Push through the heel. Beautiful. Then replace that foot to the floor. Inhale to lift the tailbone. Then as you exhale, release back again into the child's pose and take a few moments in that posture. There's been a lot of upside downness, which tends to be a rush of blood to the head. And there's also that sense that you've been holding yourself up. Lovely. So while you're still in a fairly restful pose, I'm just going to suggest that you lift yourself up. You'll be momentarily in hero pose. If that's very uncomfortable for you, then lift the bottom off the heels. And I'll just show you the next little sequence that we're going to do. It's quite an active sequence. It's quite a moving sequence. So it's easier for you to watch me do it than be upside down and try to follow it through. So again, we're going to start in this really strict box formation. Keeps those distances correct. So we'll come up into the three-legged dog. Then as you exhale, draw the tummy button in, bring that knee in, and we'll swing forward into like a three-legged plank. Then take that foot back. We'll lower down, knees, chest, chin, lift up. Then we'll push up again into the down dog. Left leg up, knee forward into the plank. Then step back, same again. And then into child's pose. So I did that quite speedy, but just really so you get an idea. I will talk you through it slower. So lift up into your down dog. Now, controversially, my tip here is if the arms are a little bit further forward, gives you more room for your plank. Lift the right leg up. So make your three-legged dog, take the heel up to the ceiling. Then bend that right knee in. As you do, travel the weight of the shoulders forward until you can sense a diagonal line from the back of the shoulder through to the left heel. Perfect. Then push that back, come into a full plank. So make sure you're in a diagonal, bottom's not up in the air. So Gloria, bring the bum down, down, down. So you're the same, bottom down, down, down. Then bend the knees. That's it. Lower the chest, the chin to the floor, keep the bottom up. Inhale, lift the chest, come into cobra. Then exhale, push up into downward facing dog. So get yourself centered, then lift the left foot, come into the three-legged dog. Make sure that hip isn't flaring open, keep the hips square, better. Then bend that left knee in, bring that shin parallel to the floor as you come into the three-legged plank. We love it. Then strike that foot back, come into a nice extended plank. Beautiful, that's it. You've remembered to lower the bottoms. Then your choice, whether you lower down into knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, supporting the rib cage. Then inhaling, lifting up into cobra. Exhaling, resting back in child's pose. Beautiful. So it takes a little bit of strength, that sequence, but you can tell that if you do 2 or 3 of those in a row, it's a nice flow, it's a nice sequence for upper body strength, for core engagement. And also it gives you that opening through the hips as well by using the three-legged plank. Perfect. So I'm going to suggest that we come back up into the hero pose, which is kind of where we were before, sitting back onto the heels. I like to spread the extra padding by lifting the bottom and realigning the sit bones onto the heels. I'm just going to call it lockdown lard, but it's there. I've got to own it. So as we're in this posture, we fall into, again, habits. So there is a tendency to have too much curvature in the lower spine when we sit in this posture. So we're just going to mobilize the lower back, place the hands on the hip bones, and then trace the line forward. So pressing the pelvis forward, then pushing the sit bone back. So you're kind of rocking just through the hips, forward and back. Lovely. So I can already see that there's some beautiful core engagement going on as we draw the pelvis forward. Perfect. Upper body stays where it is. So Jean, I think you're leaning forward into this. Keep the shoulders lined up with the back of the hips. It's all about the pelvis, this. It's a bit like doing pelvic tilts if you ever did the time warp. We're showing our age now. Then bring the sit bones back over the heels. You almost feel as though you're tucking the tailbone down between the feet. The core is engaged. Push down into the shins. Inhale to lift up. Perfect. Bring the hands in front of the heart and really anchor down into the shins. So the thighs are engaging again, but because we've done that little bit of a pelvic reconnection, what we want to avoid is any sense of pushing the hips forward. So we're going to stay in this neutral alignment, tailbone tucked under, thighs here. And no way are we going to push the hips forward. Lift the arms up overhead. Lead with the sternum. Keep the thighs where they are. Open the gaze towards the thumbs. Keep the thighs nice and neutral as you open the upper thoracic spine. So not really a back bend, opening the chest. Then on and out breath, engage the core, hinge forward, come back into your all fours position, turning the toes under, exhaling to roll up, nodding the chin towards the chest. Back into that familiar cat stretch, widening the space in the lower back. Resting back into neutral spine, taking the knees wide, touching the tips of the toes together, then lowering the forearms towards the floor. Let's bring the thumbs to touch together. Push the sit bones back to the heels. If you can, bring the forehead to the floor. Resting the ears between the upper arms. And again, we're just widening into this space in the inner thighs, softening and releasing the lower back, the back of the sacrum. Reposition the hands under the shoulders. Lift ourselves back up. So when you come back up, you're in this wide knee position, which if you have discomfort in the knees, won't suit. So if you need to, you can pop a pillow or something underneath the bottom just to lift the weight off of the knees. Then bring the hands back to an Anjali Mudra. Inhale to lift and lengthen, shoulders away from the ears. As you exhale, take that space into the side of the rib cage and turn your gaze up towards that left elbow. Let's really rotate that left elbow open. Engage the core, come back to center. Then take it to the opposite side, bringing the gaze to the right elbow. Rotate the elbow back. Come back to center. Bring the hands back towards heart. Slide the thighs together. Then lean forward into your all fours position, turn the toes under, and once more repeat that lovely, gentle cat stretch. Then I think you're about ready to come into your Shavasana position. So I will check. I think we might just be on 1 o'clock now. Yeah, so we're just on 1 o'clock now if anyone needs to leave. If you're happy to stay, then come to a comfortable supine position. So this is your chance to just let it all hang loose. No more engagement. And although we've sort of used quite a lot of strength here and engaged quite a lot today, it's actually been quite a stretchy session. So I'm hoping that we've released any tension that you may have held on to in the inner thighs. That in turn will have released through the outside of the buttocks, at the back of the hips. And any tightness in the hamstrings will help to just let go of that clenching in the lower back. If at any point you feel that you need to bend the knees, then do whatever you need so that you're not distracted from the task in hand of allowing the whole body to become heavy, to become soft, and to release into the earth beneath you. Remind yourself at this point to unclench the jaw, to soften the tongue in the well of the mouth, to feel your weight fully supported from the back of the head, through the shoulders, through the back of the hips, all the way down to the heels. Bring your awareness back to the breath. rediscovering that deepened, lengthened breath. In no rush. Inhaling to fill the lungs completely. Exhaling to empty the lungs fully. An awareness of expanding and widening into the space that surrounds you. Of softening and releasing, letting go of any tension. Every in-breath charging your body with positive energy. Every out-breath releasing your body of toxins. Give yourself permission to rest here, to breathe here. To honor yourself with the rare few moments of quiet and calm. Tune into the stillness. And if you find your attention wanders, return your focus to the breath. Find that quiet and calm. Shanti. 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 Om. Now start to become aware that each in-breath becomes an awakening breath now. Start to make little adjustments to return sensation to the physical body. Perhaps wiggling fingers and toes, wriggling the jaw and the nose. Maybe you'd like to take a long stretch through the body. You might feel the need to hug the knees to the chest and just honor that space in the lower back. Then in your own time, gently roll to one side, taking a moment here to blink the eyes open. Then return once more to a comfortable, seated position. Now bring your hands to an Anjali Mudra. Touch to the head for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and to the heart for kind intentions. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.